What's up, YouTube? This is Mad Eye Yokai with another Friday the 13th news update. We've got a couple of cool updates to talk about, so hold on to your horses. We're going in. First, confirmed by Ronnie Hobbs last night, was that private matches in Friday the 13th, where you can choose who plays as Jason, will grant experience points. I repeat, private matches will grant experience points. This is not an April Fool's joke. This was announced on the 3rd of April by co-creator Ronnie Hobbs on Twitter. What this means is that if you wanted to play with friends, but were reluctant to due to not gaining experience points, you have nothing to worry about. Go kill your friends. But seriously, not in real life. I don't endorse violence. Next bit of news was the confirmation of bear traps shared by Wes Keltner on the Slash and Cast podcast produced by RJL Productions. For those of you who do not remember, if you look carefully at the pictures that were released explaining Jason's new stock ability, you will see an icon that looks very similar to a trap with the number 5 next to it. This was confirmed by Wes Keltner yesterday to be in fact a bear trap, and he provided additional news today. First off, counselors and Jason do not use the same bear traps. The reason why, explained by Wes, and this is quoted from the F13 forums, is Jason spent a long time in the woods, alone, honing his skills as a hunter and killer. This is a trap that he has created, using found items in the woods, old pieces of wood, rusty nails, and spikes, and perhaps old bed springs from an old mattress to slam the trap shut. Wes explained in further detail how these traps would work. A Jason player has traps in his inventory, and once he or she presses a button on their controller, they will lay a trap on the ground and cover it with leaves. These traps cannot be moved or disarmed by Jason. For the time being, counselors can see traps if they look carefully, but they cannot disarm traps. Also, since Jason covered the traps with leaves, they will be difficult to see if they are placed in the woods. However, Wes did say that they might allow counselors to disarm traps in the future, depending on player feedback after the launch. You might also be wondering if these traps are consumable, or if Jason can find more traps throughout the game. That answer is Jason cannot find additional traps, and that these traps are in fact a consumable item. Just as how each Jason has different stats catering to different playstyles, each Jason will have a different number of traps. For example, Sackhead Jason might have 5, whereas Manhattan Jason only has 3. Okay, now let's talk damage. Once a counselor steps on a trap, it will take slightly longer for them to break free compared to stepping on a trap set by a fellow counselor. The damage done will also be slightly more than a normal trap. Once the trap has been sprung, Jason will hear the sound of a trap snapping shut, and he will also see a flashing icon on his minimap and morph map display. If you're curious as to what this icon looks like, Wes confirmed that the icon looks like the one you see in the photo of Janie Myers trying to break free from a Jason trap. The icon is here. One other note, traps can only be used on ground textures, so yes, you can put traps outside a window, door, car, and anywhere else you think counselors might step outside. But indoors, docks, and underwater are off limits. Personally, I'm excited for these traps for several reasons, but I thought I might address a question a lot of you probably have. Why add traps to the game? Just why? The game was good already. Remember, Jason had to fend for himself in the wilds of Crystal Lake, so using traps was probably necessary for survival. Also, keep in mind that the developers of this game, Gun Media and Ilphonic, are not only staying true to the films, but they're adding additional lore and backstory through the Pamela tapes. So the traps are just another way of acknowledging Jason's earlier life that fans have never seen before. Also, while some people might be upset, a bear trap was used in the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. After hearing this news, I know that one strategy I'm going to use with traps is placing 1 or 2 right outside the windows of a cabin containing a few counselors. Unless counselors can dive through a window and over my trap, they're gonna get caught. So I think trap placement will take some skill and is going to be very important in the later endgame. You gotta place it just right. Counselors. My big tip for avoiding traps is to shine your flashlight when you're outside. It could mean the difference in dodging a trap and getting caught in one. That's all I have for this news video, but I want to hear your opinions. What do you think of the announcement of Jason using bear traps, and how do you plan to use them in the game? Are there any other strategies you'd like to employ using bear traps as a Jason player? Leave your comments below, and I will do my best to respond to every single one. In the meantime, stay classy, Crystal Lake, and I'll see you again in the next video.